I remember being at a birthday party for my middle son, Tyler, who was 4 years old, and they had metal folding chairs. And I remember sitting very carefully in the chair, and I was afraid I would break it. I was very large on the bottom, and I was afraid the chair would go, and I would be embarrassed.
After 3 children, Marina Kamen's body grew bigger as her dream shriveled up. At 37, Marina weighed 215 pounds, and her hopes of being a professional singer and dancer seemed like a distant memory. But when she was 19, Broadway seemed within her reach. Back then, she landed the role of Jan, the chubby girl, in a dinner theater production of Grease.
I was so embarrassed that it was my first professional role that I starved myself. And when I showed up to the first day of rehearsal, I showed up as a size 4, and the director looked at me and said, "What did you do?" I made it work, of course, but the point was I was not going to go for my first role in my professional life with this dream, being the fat chick.
Desperate to remain center stage, Marina kept her weight in check by teaching aerobics and by forcing herself to vomit after she ate.
I would go home, put on my favorite soap opera, and I would pig out on my white bread and bologna or a pound of tuna fish, and then directly after I would drink a glass of warm water and I would purge.
Even though she was driven to succeed on stage, love proved a more powerful force. At 23, Marina met Roy Kamen, and he asked her to marry him. But there was a catch.
One thing he did say to me when I said yes was, "I love you and I want to marry you. I do not want a performer. I don't want you leaving. I don't want you going on the road. I don't want you going on stage. I don't want anybody else looking at you. I don't want to lead that life. Make a choice."
So if she followed that career, we'd never see each other. We'd never be with each other. The chances of meeting someone else is so much greater in those circumstances. And I must have been insecure back then because, yeah, I was really nervous about it.
So Marina chose Roy for better or worse. Roy was a sound engineer, and he introduced Marina to the world of studio production. She worked behind the scenes, casting, writing, and singing for commercials and other recordings.
We almost got it.
Soon, they opened their own studio. At 28, Marina had her first baby.
Today is September 4th, 1986. My life looked pretty terrific. I went to a studio every day. I had respect. I was in an exciting industry. I was pregnant with my first child in my 20s. I was married. All good stuff. We were making a comfortable living. It all looked wonderful, except that I had the secret. And the secret was I knew that once I was pregnant and had this baby, this dream probably, not that it could never be realized, but it would have been harder to be realized.
With each of her 3 pregnancies, Roy tried to comfort Marina with food.
To soothe her jangled nerves, I went out immediately and bought one of those chocolate bars, those chocolate ice cream bars with the dark chocolate on the outside and the chocolate on the inside, and that became like a regular thing, and we just ate them every night.
And I remember looking at that ice cream bar and saying to myself, sure you want me to eat it because I'm so heavy, honey, that it's safe for you. Nobody's going to look. And it isn't possible that I'll ever go on a stage in any time soon.
By the time she had her 3rd child, she weighed 215 pounds.
Now he doesn't talk.
What's Daddy doing?
I loved it because other guys weren't looking at her. I'll be honest about it. I'm jealous. I'm very jealous. And one of the reasons I didn't want her to go perform all over the country is because I didn't want her away from me, being on stage and being out in the public where, you know, she's easy prey.
Marina couldn't hide her resentment.
We would have screaming battles that you would think there was World War III. The battles would start in the bedroom, come out into the living room, and then go out into the street.
The final straw was a Broadway production of A Christmas Carol. Marina's then 8-year-old son Justin auditioned and made the cast.
I felt it was a sign from God or whoever telling me something, because how ironic to have a son that ends up being cast in a first-run Broadway musical at Madison Square Garden, and here I am giving up my dream.
Marina decided to get back in the game before it was too late. She did not know how a 215-pound singer and dancer was going to succeed or how her marriage was going to survive. She only knew she had to pursue her dream, or part of her would die forever.